Hey y'all, Phil here with High Tech Legion. Behind me is a chassis from Cougar. This is the MX500. That has USB, lots of spots for hard drives, lots of spots for fans. It even has some fan filters that are held in with magnets to make it nice and easy for cleaning. So it looks like it's shaping up to be a pretty good chassis for your next gaming rig. Let's take a look. Here we can see the front side of the MX500, 3 5¼ bays, and a nice large area for ventilation. You can go ahead and reach underneath and pop this off just with a nice snug tug. On the back side, you can see you can remove these just by squeezing the tabs. The filter area is not removable. You would have to bend these little 6 metal tabs, which I do not recommend because chances are it will become brittle and break. There are 4 tabs here which remove this darker piece of black plastic that's also shiny instead of a matte finish. It doesn't really do anything removing it. It's just there for aesthetics. Take a look behind that. Again, you can see the drive bays. We have a single 120mm fan included on the front. There are screw mount positions to support up to 2 140mm fans. You might also be wondering what this is. This here is an old school sized 3.5-inch external drive mount. It was typically used for floppy drives or later for card readers. I really don't know why it's here because, as you can see, there's nothing for it to come through. Even if you remove this glossy piece of plastic, there's solid plastic underneath which prevents you from using it for any kind of a disk drive. So, set these off to the side. So that's the front. Let's take a look at the top. Here you can see we have lots of fan support up to maximum of a single 200mm fan or a 180mm fan. There's also mounting positions for 2 120s or 2 140s. This is a nice rubberized pad here, probably meant for putting cell phones or tablets or whatever on, so they'll stay in place while you're charging or syncing them. You have USB 3.0, 2 of them, same dual USB 2.0 ports, speaker, headphones, microphone, reset, and power. Over to the side, you can see it's just a nice flat finish. Here's where the other fan would go on the side. This is for the magnetic mounts fan too. You can see it supports a 120 or a 140 fan. The third one that's offset is for aligning the filter cover. Going all the way around, see it's nice and flat, nothing going on there. The rear of the case, again we have a 120mm fan here lit with red LEDs. These 3 pop out for supporting water cooling. Rubber grommets are also included. Your I/O area, 7 expansion slots, more ventilation, and a Kensington lock support, and your power supply. There are positions on here for supporting power supplies, either up or down positions. On the bottom of the case, be careful when you lift, because this fan cover here, filter, is held in with magnets. So that is pretty nice, makes it easy to get on and off for cleaning. Unfortunately, it can be a little bit of a pain to access if you're trying to get to it like this. So it kind of falls off and you'll just want it pushing it to one side and then you have to reach around to grab it. It's very difficult to reach it from the same side and pull it off at the same time. Let's go to the guts of the case, go on the inside. 2 thumb screws on the back. Slide, and there it comes. Now, you can see here we have 7 hard drive bay spots. Here again is that 3.5-inch from the outside. It looks like you might be able to put a 3.5-inch hard drive in here and just use it internally. These trays will support both 3.5-inch and 2.5-inch drives. There are 4 screw points for the 2.5-inch drives. We have our motherboard tray. You can see we have all our cables for power, reset, USB, and such here, and front audio. A nice large cutout for CPU, for large CPU coolers. There are offsets for mounting the motherboard already in place. 2 more holes for mounting included. You have 2 more of the offset things to put there. And here we have a box of goodies. So let's go ahead and take that out. And inside, we will find the rubber grommets, user guide, and fasteners for motherboard, fans, another motherboard tray offset, things for mounting drives and all that good stuff. The 5 1/4-inch drives are toolless, so just slide your drive in, and to release it to bring it out, just flip this little lever here up, and then your drive should come out nice and easy. So that's the inside of the motherboard. I'll just leave that for now. And on the bottom of the case, I don't think I showed you this before. Let me do it this way. Take that off. On the bottom of the case, you can see here, again, we have support for a 120 or a 140 millimeter fan on the bottom. Lots of ventilation included for power supply. Okay, flip it around, and take the back panel off. Oh, that's on there good. There we go. As you can see, we have multiple mount points for cable management. Again, let's see, the pass-throughs for the back for getting cables and your cable management, they're not grommeted, but they are rounded, so you don't have to worry about ruining any cables on that. And again, you can see here the hard drive space. Also looks like, if we'll hold it upright, there's a fair amount of space behind there for cable management, depth-wise. The top hard drive cage on the MX500 can be adjusted to support various video card sizes. In this mode, where it had called Mode A by Cougar, it'll do 3.5-inch drives and will support a 300mm long video card. There are 2 screws on the top of this piece of metal, 1, 2, which if you take out, allow you to expand the support for the length of a video card. Now, if you just take the panel out and you don't bother adjusting it for the shorter distance, you can now support 410mm long video cards, but you only have 4 spots down here for hard drives. There is a second position for this panel. There are 2 slots on top of the bottom drive cage, here and here, and on this guy it has 2 screw positions here and here, which line up with these screws in order to support. Put that in there. This will give you 3 solid-state drives or 2.5-inch drives and support for a 330mm long video card. So I'll just put the screws in real quick. And there you go. Support for 330mm video card. The filter on the top of the case is held in these little plastic rivets, and in order to mount a 140mm fan, you're going to have to take them out. You'll be fine with them if you're using a 120mm fan, because you just need these inside ones, or it lines up. But if you need a 140, you can see it's already interfering. So let me show you how to take one of these out. Here we go. So you have two pieces. You have the one here that kind of has like the flower petals on the back. There, I put it in focus. You have the kind of the flower petals in the back, and they spread out when you push the second piece through the top. And then they lock in place. And you see they're spread out more than they were previously. So in order to use it, just go here, put it through the top hole. These here are also the 200mm points, so you might be able to do a 180, but you certainly can't do a 200mm fan on top without taking these out. Make sure that the flower petals go through the filter as well, and then just push the rivet through, and it's held back in place. My first impression of Cougar's MX500 is that the front bezel looks a little bit too much like a Fractal Designs Arc Series case. The rounded corners and the texture of the plastic and the size and shape of the ventilation on the front. Other than that, the cases are completely different, and the MX500 stands on its own as a very good case. The installation is actually very easy. There's a little extra space at the top of the motherboard in order to facilitate reaching around and plugging wires in and get access to the screws. So that made things a lot easier. For on the front side, I did have a couple issues. The first one is just kind of like my confusion about something. See here, this is a typical way of doing a 3.5-inch external drive. There's a couple screw spots. It's open access behind it, so you could definitely put one in there, and there's even, or it would even go all the way through, but they blocked it off here. The only reason I can think of for them blocking it off is because they have the screw points for the 240mm fans. However, I think it would have been nice in order to have the support to do a 3.5-inch drive in the front instead of if you don't want to do 240mm fans, you having the option to do a card reader or more USB ports or whatever else you might want to do with it. The other issue was that the toolless design that holds in optical drives only catches onto the front corner here of the CD drives. So I'd highly recommend securing it in the back opposite corner with at least one more screw back there. The airflow, if you look at the benchmarks, the airflow does a pretty good job of keeping the whole system cool. The CPU is in a good range, GPU is in a good range, motherboard, hard drives. In fact, hard drive temperatures actually came down. I believe the reason for this is because the front fan and the back fan both plug into 3-pin connectors on the motherboard, which means as the system temperature rises, the motherboard can put more voltage to them. And in fact, when I was doing my testing, both the front fan and the back fan were right around 850 to 900 RPMs during idle. Under a load, they both went up to around 1100 RPMs, and even at that speed, they did not make a lot of noise. So they do a pretty good job of extra cooling, pulling extra air through the case to help keep everything cool. Enough extra air under load to cool the hard drives off a couple degrees. And they do it without making a lot of extra noise. So I was really pleased to see how well that worked. However, that might also be motherboard dependent as far as if the 3 and 4-pin connectors on your motherboard will increase fan speed with increased system temperature. Let's see, the installation was good, airflow is good. Overall, it's a pretty solid case. When I'm doing my assembly, I will usually lift it up by one hand, spin it around, and put it back down again so that I can switch back and forth quickly between installing a component and routing cables. The case held up very well during this. There's minimum flexing. The case panels go on pretty easily, and overall, the guy does a very good job. In fact, I believe this case does good enough job to earn our High-Tech Legion Editor's Choice Award. So guys, once again, I am Phil with High-Tech Legion. This is Cougar's MX500 case. And this guy, as I said, gets our High-Tech Legion Editor's Choice Award. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check us out. Subscribe to us on YouTube to find all our other videos and all our other reviews. Also, check us out on Facebook and Twitter, and see our website where you can get all our reviews, the complete reviews, and keep up with news on new products and updates. That is www.hightechlegion.com. Once again, I'm Phil. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.